Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Guy with the Smile. I hope everybody's had a great week. We actually haven't been on since Monday. It's been a long one, crazy at work, but we got through it, and actually, all in all, came out on top of things. So hopefully we can keep that trend going next week as things continue to get crazy, but let us jump in. We're gonna do just a chill stream, just playing some Magic the Gathering Arena, and we're gonna start off by opening some packs and seeing what we get. If I can find my, there we go. So we got a few packs that I've earned. I've been playing off stream, trying to. Well, I was playing. They did an event for the new card set that's coming up shortly. Highlighting their Brawl decks that are coming up and the new Brawl game style, which, if you're familiar with the game, it's a Brawl is kind of a Commander style game that's really designed to be a one-on-one, whereas Commander is designed to be more 1v3. Commander is really meant for as a 4-player game or more. That is to say, there's some rules variations where you can get 8 or more people playing, but those games tend to take quite a while. Well, or they can go really quick. It depends on the decks your opponents have, but the 4-player standard variant of Commander can take a while because you're all against each other, so you're trying not to pick on anybody because you don't want to be the one picked on, type of thing. So it gets kind of political. It's actually very fun. But the Brawl decks are the same concept of Commander, but instead of being a 100-card deck, they're a 60-card deck. And it's a singleton series, which means you can only have one copy of any card in the deck, except for basic lands. And so it does kind of get the feel of Commander, but with the focus of a 1v1, and it's a very interesting dynamic. I'm hoping they're gonna bring that as a regular to Arena, and we can do some of that either as events or just choose to do that kind of playstyle going against friends. So, but we're gonna get started with opening a few packs that I've built up, and I've got some coins that I've earned as well. So I may buy some more packs, but I'll do that towards the end. So we're gonna start by opening these 4 Core 2020 packs, seeing what we get. Undead Servant is not a bad card. It's a 3/2 when you bring it out, and it creates a 2/2 zombie for each card named Undead Servant that's in your graveyard. So this is a card that you wouldn't want to really play in a singleton type, like a Commander or a Brawl type setting, because you could only have one of it. In a traditional where you can have up to 4 cards in the deck, it's something that becomes more powerful the more times you bring it out. Or if you're in a deck that is causing yourself to discard cards or things of that nature. Griffin Protector is a 2/3, always nice because it's flying. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Protector gets +1/+1, so anytime you bring out another creature, it becomes a 3/4 or more until the end of turn. Like if you bring out 2 creatures, that would become a 4/5. Marauder's Axe is not a bad card. It costs 2 to cast and 2 to equip, so 4 to get it onto a creature, and then it gives that creature a +2/+0. This is a card that I like a lot. It's Glaring Aegis. It costs 1 mana. Enchanted creature gets +1/+3, and when it enters the battlefield, you tap a target creature that your opponent controls. So it can create an opening for you. The turn you bring it onto the field, it can create an opening by tapping an opponent's creature. One second. That's just a wild card. Woodland Champion. Whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, put that many +1/+1 counters. This is great in a token deck. Such as my my Saproling deck. And I will probably, well, my Saproling deck is about to become illegal because most of the cards in it are from sets that are about to cycle out. So I will have to build a new primary deck here shortly. Gargos the Vicious Watcher is an 8/7. Of course, he's an expensive spell costing 6 mana. Hydra spells cost you 4 less to cast, so he makes other Hydras a lot cheaper. He's legendary, so you can only have one of him out at a time. You can still have up to 4 in the deck, but you can only have one active on the battlefield at a time. If you cast another one, then the one that's on the battlefield gets sent to your graveyard, which can be useful. But whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell, so that would include Gargos the Vicious Watcher, he fights up to one target creature you don't control. So if they cast a spell at him or any other creature that you control, he attacks something. Now he does take damage from it because he fights it. But he's an 8/7, so all you have to do is attack something that can not do 7 points of damage to him, and that he can kill with 8 points of damage. So it's a good card. It is, like I said, on the expensive side, but it makes, if you're running a Hydra deck, it can make late game a lot easier. Of course, there's a good chance you have your Hydras out by the time you get him. Vial of Dragonfire, 2 to cast, 2, and tap it to sacrifice it to deal 2 damage to a target creature. It's a delayed get rid of something card. It's not a bad card to have, particularly if you're running an artifact deck where casting artifacts or using artifacts trigger other effects. It's very nice. A Brightwood Tracker. It's a 2/4 and then for 5 and a green, and tapping it, you can look at the top 4 cards of your library, reveal a creature card from it, and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library. It can be useful, but that's pretty high mana cost, and it's not a cheap card to bring out, and it's 2/4 questionable, in my opinion. Mind Rot is always a nice card in a black deck. Force your opponent to discard 2 cards. It's really nice in a deck where you have an effect that triggers off your opponent discarding cards or any player discarding cards. Anvilrot Raptor is an artifact creature. Has flying and first strike. It's a 2/1. That it has first strike is nice because that means something has to be able to survive 2 points of damage to even deal damage to it. But if anything deals damage to it, it's dead. The downside of that is the fact that if anything deals damage to it, it's dead. So any targeted spell or anything of that nature, it can get rid of it rather quickly. Unless you have some way of bumping it up. Daybreak Chaplain's always nice in a white life gain deck. It's 1/3, so it's got decent defense, and it has lifelink. So Gauntlets of Light is an enchantment that gives the enchanted creature +0/+2, and gives the creature the ability to spend mana to untap it. Not the greatest thing in the world, but sorry, and the creature also assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So, if, for example, I threw that onto the Daybreak Champion, which is a 1/3, it becomes a 1/5, but when it does damage, it does 5 points of damage. So nice card. 2/3 flyer, and gives other flying creatures you control +1/+1. Nice card for a blue-white deck. I need to build a good blue-white deck. I don't have one currently. Sphera Skyblade, again, expensive card, but she's a 7/7 with flying and lifelink. you may pay 1 white and tap 4 untapped creatures you control with flying rather than pay the mana cost. And then other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. So, very nice card. And next pack, what do we get? Another Brightwood Tracker. A Dawning Angel. It's a 3/2 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you get 4 life. Not bad. At 5 mana might be a bit on the expensive side, but a 3/2 flyer isn't anything to snub your nose at either. A Ripskill Predator. A 6/5 with Menace. So it has to be blocked by at least 2 creatures. At 5 mana, that's on the expensive side, but probably worth it as one of your higher end creatures. The Heartpiercer Bow is nice. Cost 2 mana to cast, 1 mana to equip. We actually had this in an earlier deck, I forgot to mention it. But whenever the creature that has it equipped attacks, it does 1 damage to a target creature that a defending player controls. So you can use this to actually pick off creatures or damage them so that your creatures will kill them when they might not have otherwise. The Unchained Berserker is 1/1. It gets +2/+0 as long as it's attacking. It is protected from white, so that means it cannot be the target of any white spells. It does not take any damage from white creatures. Which can be very nice. So if it's attacking, it's a 3/1. If you're fighting against a white deck, this is a really good card.
I protect those who cannot.
Ajani's Strength of the Pride
themselves.
is not a bad planeswalker. You gain life equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of planewalkers you control. So that gives him +1 loyalty. So having a card that gives the card loyalty while giving you a very, very positive effect, such as giving you life, is nothing to be snubbed at. For 2 loyalty, create a 2/2 white cat soldier token named Ajani's Pridemate that has the effect whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. That in itself is very nice. For no loyalty loss or gain, if you have 15 life more than your starting life total, since you normally start with 20 life, you would have to get up to 35. You can exile Strength of the Pride and every artifact and creature your opponent controls. So it is a nice board wipe. Now you have to get to 35 health to do it, but with his number 1, if you've got a lot of creatures out, that's not going to take long. And then we got 2 wilds. And so the last 2020 pack, what do we get? Get another Ripscale Predator, that's nice. A natural end to destroy a target artifact or enchantment and gain 3 life. This is a very nice card in a green deck. As you can get rid of an enchantment that your opponent has cast on your creatures, an enchantment that is helping your opponent, or an artifact that is helping your opponent, and gain 3 life from it. Fortress Crab is a 1/6. This is a great defender. At 4 mana makes it... it's going to be at least turn 4 before you can cast it, so not something you necessarily want in your opening hand, but it's not a bad card to have in a blue deck. Unholy Indenture is can be very nice. Doesn't do anything when you initially cast it, but when the creature dies, you return it to the battlefield under your control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So if you have a card that you're relatively certain your opponent is going to kill, throw it on there. It not only does killing the creature not get rid of the creature, but it brings it back stronger. Moment of Heroism, target creature gets +2 and +2 and gains lifelink until the end of turn. This is an instant, so it's a nice little way to surprise your opponent. Thrashing Brontodon, card that I used in great effect during the Brawl event. It's a 3/4 creature for 3 mana, so it's cheap it's a cheap casting cost for its strength. And and then for 1 mana you can sacrifice it to destroy a target artifact or enchantment. So it's a way to get rid of something your opponent has done, or something that is helping your opponent. Now you do lose the 3/4, which is why it's cheap for its power, but sometimes losing that, for example, I used it in the Brawl event to get rid of an artifact that was giving my opponent's creature +10/+10. So my opponent losing +10/+10 was definitely worth the trade of me losing a 3/4 creature. Eternal Isolation, it's a nice cheap spell. Target creature with a power of 4 or greater onto the bottom of your owner's library, which means unless your opponent has another way to get to that card, chances are it's not going to come back up in the game. Leyline of Abundance, if it is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. You may tap a creature. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional 1 green. For 6 and 2 green, you can put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Now, obviously, that's a late game, being 8 mana. That's a late game effect. But if your deck has creatures that create mana for you, being able to create additional mana is nice. And the fact that you can begin the game with it on the battlefield, if it's in your opening hand, can be helpful in that it means you don't have to cast it, which means you can start the game with it and start using that effect right away. Okay, so we'll go to the War of the Spark and see what we get. And we got a wild card for opening packs. Scry 4, then draw 2 cards. Look at the top 4 cards of your library and put any number of them to the bottom of your library and the rest on top in any order. Let you look to see what the next 4 cards coming up are, and then you can put, since you can put the top ones in any order, and you're going to draw 2 cards, you can decide which 2 cards you're drawing. Kasmina's Transmutation is a very evil spell. It turns any creature that it's cast on into a 1/1 creature that is pretty much pointless. And it stays on them until somebody has a way to remove an enchantment or the creature dies. Spellgorger Weird, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets a +1/+1 counter. So in a deck that is focused around non-creature spells, which a lot of red decks are, you can pump this up quite nicely. This is another evil spell. I faced off with these in the Magic the Gathering tournament at TennoCon, and basically it's 1 white, so you can get it out on turn 1. For 1 mana and tapping it, you can tap a target creature with a converted mana cost 2 or greater, which is going to be most creatures. So it was just the deck that I was playing against had, I think he had 3 of these in it, and he would just save 3 mana, and before I would go to my combat turn, he would like, okay, that's tapped, that's tapped, that's tapped. It's like, very frustrating. In a blue-white deck, it makes a very efficient control deck. Primordial Worm is at 6 mana, it's relatively expensive, but it's a 7/6 creature. Has no other special abilities, but I mean, a 7/6 is going to be pretty tough to get rid of. The Tyrant Smasher, it's basically a card to bring out. It gives all the creatures you control haste, which for most things isn't important, except for the turn you cast them. Which, given the fact that the card gives every creature you control haste, I don't know why they gave its losing loyalty effect to give haste until the end of turn. But, you never know. I mean, it also gives it +2/+1, and allows you to scry 1. So there's a reason to do it. I just don't know why they I don't know why they had to give the creature haste, because the creature is going to already have haste as soon as it comes onto the battlefield because of the first line of the card. Nissa's Triumph. Search your library for 2 basic forest cards. If you control a Nissa Planeswalker, instead search your library for up to 3 land cards. Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, and shuffle your library. Particularly early in the game, it can be very useful, so I'm not knocking the card. Not something I tend to use a lot of because I don't tend to play Nissa decks. Vivian's Arcbow. It's a legendary artifact. It costs a green and 1 mana to cast, and then for X and tap the card, you can look at the top X cards of your library, and you can put a creature card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield, which is a very useful thing. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Interesting artifact. Not necessarily something I would use, but I could see that being used effectively. So, good card. So, the Ravnica Allegiance cards that we get. Open the gate, search the library for a basic line card or a gate card and reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle your library. As a 1 mana spell, that's a very nice early game, particularly if you don't draw a lot of mana up front. Blade Brand, target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn and you draw a card. It's an instant, so you can put it on a creature that's where blocks have already been declared, and kill off something where the opponent wasn't planning on losing it, and you get to draw a card. Scuttlegator, it's a 6/6 with Defender. If it has a +1/+1 counter on it, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So as soon as if it becomes a permanent 7/7, it can attack. And for 6/8 mana, you can cause it to adapt, which is, since it's adapt 3, if it has no +1/+1 counters on it, you can put 3 on it, making it a 9/9. So obviously that's very potent. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 into the end of turn and fights a creature you don't control. Keeping in mind that it fights that creature, so even though it gets +2/+2, it has still, if you want it to live, it still has to survive. If you don't care about it living, obviously it's not that important. Like if you were adding +2/+2 to something and using it to kill something off, and you're not concerned about losing that creature, not a big deal. So it's definitely a good tactical card to have in your hand. Undercity's Embrace. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you gain 4 life. Obviously, it's a nice card. I don't know that I would necessarily have my deck hinging on that, but again, I can see it being of use depending on the deck and how you've built it. Knight of the Last Breath is a 4/4, which in and of itself is nice. For 3, you can sacrifice another non-token creature and create a 1/1 white and black spirit token with flying. And it has an afterlife. It has afterlife 3, which means if it dies, it creates 3 1/1 flying tokens. Groll Beastmaster is a 2/2. Whenever it attacks another target creature you control, whenever it attacks another target creature control gets +X+0, where X is Groll's Beastmaster's power. So, generally speaking, it gets another target creature gets +2 to its attack. If you have some other way to bump this up, that can actually become very potent. And a rare wild card. And the Guilds of Ravnica pack we get Watcher in the Mist is not a bad card. 3/4 and Surveil 2 when it enters, and it has flying. Wario Copy is 3/2 with Vigilance. Vigilance is never anything to turn your nose up at, because it means attacking doesn't cause it to tap. A 2/1 with lifelink in a life gain deck, that can be very nice. It's cheap, so it's something you can get out on turn 2. It's not very hardy, so it's probably going to die. But again, it's an early game piece that can be quite useful. A 2/1 that has first strike as long as it's your turn. In other words, basically, as long as it's attacking. A wild card, a Conclave Guild Mage, and creatures you control gain trample into the end of turn, and you can create a green and white Elf Knight token with Vigilance. It's a nice card to have. Again, it's early, able to be gotten out early, and it's a 2/2. Price of Fame costs 2 less, so it's 1 and a black if it's targeting a legendary, it's 3 and a black if it's not. Destroy target creature and Surveil 2. So, nice card to have, very nice in a black deck. And Zoni the Thousand-Eyed, when it enters the field, it creates a black 1/1 token creature for every creature card in your graveyard. Very nice to bring out late game, and given the mana cost at 6 mana, it's going to be a good mid game before you get it out regardless. So if you have a lot of small creatures that you brought out early that have gotten killed, or you've had to discard a bunch of creatures, can be nice. So it's a good card to have particularly if you're going against a mill deck or something, or if you have a self mill deck. So let us go on. Cast 20 blue or white spells is a quest that I have in progress, so we're going to play with a blue-white deck that I have and see if we can finish that off, and just see how that goes. We're playing in ranked, so we're going to try to rank up. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. See if we can rank up and get to, we're currently bronze, see if we can get into the higher ranks, and maybe get some better rewards for this season, which we're about halfway through. I haven't been playing as much this season, so now I am going to mulligan this because I don't know, I have 2 mana, but I have no blue mana, so in a blue-white deck I do kind of want it. I'd like to start off with at least 1 blue mana in my hand. There we go. I've got a turn 1, I've got a turn 2 option, and I've got turn 3 and plus options, so we will keep that. I'm going to discard one of the Aviation Pioneers. Well, not discard it, put it on the bottom of my deck. And see what we can draw. I would rather have had a creature that I could have cast on turn 2, but we'll see what we draw. Fair. Oh. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get that out there, and we'll do that. And if I don't get a creature, well, next turn I can do that, so, and that'll get me 1/1 double strike, nice. We'll not have any of that. Fine. That's what I wanted. I'll make you cast that again. So that's 2. Get that back out. Okay. Yes, the problem is now I'm top decking, so you gonna block? This is where I would have liked to have had that other Aviation Pioneer, but much as I hate to, I don't really want to take 12 damage just yet. Problem is it does 6 damage twice. Oh, you are getting all the cards you need. Let's see, he'd kill it. I'm gonna have to concede that one. Not a bad game. If I could have got one of my other disperses, I could have gotten rid of a lot of that. Because they were auras, not artifacts, so they would go to the discard pile, but all things considered, not bad. Let's see here, black, white, and attack with 30 creatures, so let's see, I have a good black, white. Yeah, let's go with my Eternal Thirst deck and see what we can do with that. Okay, Rain Breath. Okay, that's a little mana flooded. And no good early turn spells, but I'm gonna keep that because I'd rather be mana flooded and hope that I draw something to cast. I mean, I know I can get something out on third turn. So I've got a good mana mix, so we're gonna keep that and see what we come up with. that is particularly a card that I dislike, but nothing I can do about it at the moment. It's going to be a deck centered predominantly around casting instants and sorceries. Oh man, this is kind of what I was afraid of. I'm starting flush with mana, but all I'm drawing is mana. So I'm having to survive until I get something that I can cast. Now I can do that on turn 3. I can get a 2/2 flyer up at least next turn. Well. Even things back a little bit. And of course I can get the... Nice. Nothing I can do about that. No blocks yet. What is he playing? Blue, green, white deck? Yeah, the cleric, the call to feast. Got no blue, so I don't think there's going to be much you can do to stop that. And since it's destroy, it's not like you can buff the creature. Or more accurately, you can buff the creature all you want, it's not going to help. And at the very least, I know next turn he can't bring anything out. Well, anything he brings out he can't attack with, I should say. Fair. I'll hold on to that. Okay. Now I do have to be careful as he is running a blue deck, which means he probably has counter spells in there. Now he does only have 2 islands up, and counter spells usually only trigger off of blue. As he's very much considering what to do. As I've turned the tables on him quite a bit. As I was below him, now he's 10 health under me. So either he doesn't have anything to do and he's just stalling, which is a very unsportsmanlike thing to do, or he is considering his tactics. Play a third island. Nice. I'm assuming you're going to attack, since those are going to be temporary. Now, I've gained 1 life. I gain another life, and it'll take a -2, -2. And I still have a way to get rid of the flare next turn. So, fair. And probably a good choice. Unfortunately, I have lethal. Good sport about it. I'm gonna go with the idea that he wasn't pausing. He either had to pay attention to something away from the computer for a moment, or step away from the computer. But because he played the rest of it out relatively quick. It wasn't like he was purposefully trying to stall the game. Realistically, I probably should not be drinking that as cold brew coffee. But so, I mean, at 10:15 at night, it's probably not the best choice. But you know, it is what it is. So, since we still have the black-white spells, let's go ahead and continue that deck. It performed very well for us that time, even though it was a little slow getting started, and I was kind of worried about it. But that's why I like doing that from time to time, because it's, to a certain degree, it kind of teaches you to play through stuff. Because sometimes it is better to play through something like this. I am probably going to go ahead and keep. I may end up getting screwed on it because I'm only starting off with 2 mana, but I do have a creature that I can get out on turn 2. And I do go first. It's not the best creature, because it's really designed to buff other vampires, but if I can get some other stuff out afterwards and keep him alive, then it'll be worthwhile. This is a life gain deck, and I do have Moment of Triumph, so you know, I can potentially so I'm gonna start with the black. Part of the reason I'm doing that is to keep my opponent from knowing exactly what I have. Okay, my opponent is hexproof. I cannot target them directly. Okay, it's a 1-1 with Death Touch, so not the best thing in the world for my opponent to start off with, but... The good news is, if I can get another mana, I have another creature that I can cast that will be affected by that +2/+2. At the moment, I'll just be letting it through if he attacks with it. Yeah, I'll take a point of damage. I'm not going to lose a... Yeah, see, that's kind of what I was afraid of. Good news is I can do that and hopefully kill off his 2 creatures. So let's see if he's gonna take the bait. Try to kill my creature. Yes, he is. So done. This is a life gain deck against a life gain deck, so not the best. You know, it's not the best, but... And I'd really rather target it on that, but for the time being... If I can never get another mana, you're in trouble. There we go. Next turn. He can block, but he'll lose his 2/2. Well, next turn I can get rid of one of those. And that's the one I'll get rid of. Yeah, I hate doing this. But it'll either get rid of it. Knew that was coming, but... Now... The problem is I can't get through to him.
we achieve peace, we must fight for a better tomorrow. I sense the good in
Yeah,
your
saw that
heart.
coming. It's gonna be a quick one.
Call for reinforcements. Find
Knew
your
that was
inner
coming.
strength.
Ultimately gonna lose this, unless I can draw. That will certainly help. Oh, sorry, actually. Oh, that's right, hexproof. There. There. You can block most of it and kill that. Without, I mean, you can kill that without losing anything. In fact, you won't, if you do it right, you won't lose anything on blocking. That's not right. If that's the way you want to do it, fine, but
Please, do the right thing. I am proud of those who walk beside me.
good choice. Let's see, he's only got one flyer. You can block one of them and kill it. I'd recommend that one. I mean, I'm gonna get 2 health regardless, but
This is gone.
We'll just do that. Block most of the damage. That has vigilance. If I do that, he'll do that. You know what? He'll do that. Figured that. So what do we get? Let's see, I suspect he's not going to let that live. Averted mana cost of 3 or less. And the effect's already triggered, so... You can still kill it, but it's going to cost you 2 creatures to do it. Oh, well, it won't cost you 2, but it'll at least cost you 1. Unfortunately, not going to be worth it. We're both top decking, so... good play. He can do 22, so he doesn't have lethal. He will shortly. So we'll do that, that. And he knows I can Moment of Triumph one of them. Okay. And now he really doesn't have lethal. Each player can only cast one spell per turn. Well, I'm top decking, so that's... I am really surprised I turned that around. Was not expecting to pull that one out. Turned the tables on that one very nicely and pulled a victory out of what I thought was a... But it just goes to show you, I mean, when they conceded was the right thing to do because I had lethal. There was not going to be any way they could block everything that I could send, and they only had 2 health. And even if they did block everything I sent, I had, I think, 2 creatures with life touch, which means I would have gained life twice, so they would have lost 2 health. So it was over. But so conceding was fair there. Okay, now we're gonna switch over to the Saproling Swarm deck. One thing I do want to do real quick. Okay, good starter. Not the best, but I can lead with that. And that gives me make sure I at least have a one of both colors that I need available to me. So we'll keep that. He's playing a red blue black apparently. smart, go get rid of the Dryad. Yep. It's okay. I have options. Okay. Just wasn't seeing the... You've got a way to get that back. Ooh, nice. Now, mind you, I need another mana to cast that, but... Really? Okay. I mean, it does have to be a mana cost 3 or less, but... Yeah, I guess 3 or less, that was the, non-creature, non-land. Okay, well, I got at least two options there for you. I'll paper cut you to death if I have to. Well, now. He's not having a good day. Actually, no, I'm not gonna attack with you because he might do something. I will paper cut you to death if I have to. You're reliant on Planeswalkers, I'll almost guarantee it. That's why you've got...
Do not defy the designs of an elder dragon. The fabric of the multiverse obeys me.
Oh yeah, you can block it. Okay.
If you haven't heard of me, then get ready to meet my flames.
Nice.
I've always wanted to make a really big fireball.
I don't think that's quite how we wanted that to go.
Secrets manifest before you.
Which one are you gonna do? This is not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not pretending otherwise.
No pressure.
Ether itself serves me.
Now, yeah, you can block it this turn. He's done well. I'm not, and like I said, this is by no means a done deal. Because he'll have 2 creatures next turn.
Make some more
Oh,
room
no, he
to
won't.
fight in.
That's a risky move. Well, he'll have one. He'll have 1 creature at least.
Truth lies beyond vision.
Unfortunately, I don't have anything to sacrifice. So for the time being, we'll hold that. See if we can make it useful. Because all that's going to do is give him a card. Which isn't going to help me.
Let's get toasty.
Fabric of the multiverse obeys me.
Yes, yes. Yeah, good chance I'm gonna lose this, but reasonable use of the card. It's a good deck. Yeah, it's a bloody annoying card.
I bathe in ghost fire.
No pressure.
Ah, well. We are going to concede that, because it's not going to go any other way. That the board wipe on Chandra there is just too... I mean... Not complaining, it's a fair deck, but... I will admit, well, his really wasn't purely a Planeswalker deck. I was gonna say that's the first time I've lost to a Planeswalker deck, but I mean a 4/5 flyer that when it dies goes third from your top on your library, so you only get rid of it for max 3 turns. Because obviously if they've got the mana to cast it, they can recast it once they redraw it. Wow, having some connection issues tonight. Not a bad draw. Got a second turn. Can do a first turn. Well, I can't because I'll lead with the one that comes in tapped, so that I don't really have a first turn play. But since I don't have a first turn creature, I should say. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely keeping that. You know, I'll lead with the swamp. Do that and that. That way, depending on what they've cast, well, we'll see what they cast. Okay, they mulliganed. combination of see what they cast and see what I draw. They didn't cast anything, so I am going to lead with that. Because they're not going to be able to attack. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. They could cast something with haste. They don't really have the support for that. See if I can draw him into losing it. Okay. That's what I wanted you to do. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Ajani's Pridemate, but that is a creature that will very quickly get out of hand if you're not careful. Don't get me wrong, this is not looking good for me. I'm assuming you have something to do there. Let's see. Can't kick it. Wish I could. At least she doesn't have double strike. I'm just gonna take my damage. Yep. And we'll concede. Couple tough games. These are good decks. Actually, white-green can be very good. A very good combo. Actually, most of the combos can be very good if you get if you have the right cards. Sorry. Discard that. As much as I hate to, well, not discard, put it at the bottom of the deck. It's not going to have any effect on the game when it comes down to it. Still not a great starting hand. I have not gotten... Well, actually, that's not true. I got a good starting hand early on. Since we'll be starting with a Supperling Migration, we'll start with green. Currently, I'm planning on 3 and then 4. Yeah, I wish I could kick it. It's turn 2. Good news is if he attacks with the Bridemate without buffing it, I can take it out. Which is why he did exactly what I thought he would do. So now if he gains 1 life, I'm okay. If he gains more than 1 life, then the Pridemate will be... Well, actually, no, that's not true. I can take the Pridemate up to a 5/5. Well, except he put a flyer on it. Oh, that's an evil combo. I gotta get rid of that. If I don't get one of my poison tips in the next couple of rounds, this is over. That's gonna ramp way too quickly for me to do anything about. No, I miscounted. Yep, it's over. Because he'll have lethal next turn. Unless I draw an archer. If I draw my archer, then that could change things, but I'm doubting it. Because I'll immediately have to sacrifice my archer. And that's it. That combo is disgusting. That's all I'm gonna say. And we're gonna play one more, and then we're gonna call it a night. Not because we're losing, but because it's after 11. But I mean, giving Ajani's Pridemate flying and life touch so that every time it attacks. Okay, I've got the mana I want. I don't have any good early turns, but I'd rather have the mana than... Basically, if I've got the mana, I'd rather take the risk. If I don't, then... Because if I mulligan, I run the risk of coming up with less mana. course, now I'm doing nothing but drawing mana. Let's see, he doesn't have the mana to do that, so we're gonna have to do that right now. I suspect he's playing a Planeswalker deck and not getting the mana he needs. Yeah. Actually, no. Sorry. One of those. And it's over. Unless he can get at least we can end it on a victory. Thanks for everybody for hanging out. Hope you had a good night. Hope you have a great weekend. We will not be on tomorrow. Let us find somebody to raid. We will not be on tomorrow because we will be going to the Twitch Atlanta meetup. Sorry, Stream Atlanta meetup. We're not Twitch Atlanta anymore because Twitch asked us not to be. Well, I mean, we're powered by Twitch, but we are not, since we're not officially Twitch. We are all platforms, but Twitch does sponsor us. Twitch does give us goodies to give out. We're going to take it over to Junior Hollywood, who is a great guy and a fellow Stream Atlanta member. So we are going to raid Junior Hollywood. Make sure that's... Is that right? Yep, that's him. So we're going to take it over there. We will not be on tomorrow. We will be going to the Stream Atlanta meetup and having a good time. Check Discord and Instagram for pictures from the event, if I can get any. And we'll take it over there. You have a great one. Have a great weekend. We will see you Sunday for Temple of the Tenno, assuming everything, nothing explodes or something. But Temple of Tenno, 11 a.m. Sunday will be our next stream. Have a great one until then. Take care and keep smiling.